Hi guys, today I'm going to bring you along on a little bookshelf tour. So full disclosure, I was kind of hesitant to do this, but I have gotten a couple requests, especially since I put my Halloween decorations up. This is not my ideal setup. My boyfriend and I currently live in an apartment, so we're a little pressed for space. This started off as completely my bookshelf, and this one started off as completely my boyfriend's bookshelf. And I have made a vicious land grab in the years we've been together, and this is now mostly my shelf. But we're making it work. We're making it work. So the two shelves behind me are organized by author last name. It's not really broken up into genres on this shelf. I do have a couple other shelves that are broken down by genre, but these two are just general fiction, author last name. And these shelves contain only books that I have read. So I have a separate shelf for my TBR, which I'll be showing you shortly. But these are all books that I have read, finished, and enjoyed, because I don't like to hang on to the books that I don't typically like. So let's get started. On this side, we have books by authors whose last names start with A and B. So we have Ace of Spades, that's a newer book. I have the complete Incarnations of Immortality series by Piers Anthony. Let me know down below if you've read that series, because I've come across very few people who have, and I would love to talk about it. As well as my Bear and the Nightingale series by Catherine Arden. We also have a couple Jane Austens back here. And I've got pictures of me and my dad right here, and me and my mom while I was a baby here. Not too many knick-knackage things on this shelf, just because it's high up and typically not in frame when I'm filming, but I do like to have a couple pictures on my shelves, so it's a good place for those. On this side, we have pretty much all that's left of my boyfriend's claim to this shelf. He's got a couple comic things, some Star Wars books, some Star Wars Legos. This is a Wonder Woman figurine he gave me. He likes to joke that this right here is a family portrait, which is funny. He's cute. And behind we have some of the Dune books, and some Anne McCaffrey books are hiding back here. I haven't read Dragon Riders Return, but I would love to someday, so I'm going to borrow those from him sometime. Onto the second shelf on my side, we have authors B through G, and this is where the Halloween knick-knackage starts to kind of come in a little further. So behind here we have what is one of my favorite YA series by Holly Black, The Cruel Prince. And these are the Barnes & Noble special editions, and then this is an Owl Crate special edition of The King of Elfhame How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories, which is a beautiful illustrated book. A couple other standouts, the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I've had these since like high school. These are probably some of my longest held on to books. I believe these were a birthday gift from my parents, so while I haven't read them in a really long time, they have a really big nostalgia factor for me, so I'm pretty much gonna hold on to those forever. Behind my pumpkin and my cute little Halloween dolls, we have we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is one of my new favorite books. So good. I'm really excited for the sequel to come out next year. I think this is gonna look beautiful together on the shelf. So as I said, it's not really broken down by genre. We have a lot of fantasy mixed in with some mystery and contemporary and stuff, but I don't really have the space to break it down fully by genre, and it would mostly be fantasy anyways, so I'm happy with kind of how it is at the moment. Over here we have a little letterboard that I got, I believe, from Owl Crate towards the beginning of the year, and I've just kept Lexi's library on the message just because I think that's cute and it fits with my channel. This is a little Luna figurine my best friend Stephanie bought for me. I really enjoy Sailor Moon, and we saw that at a Books A Million, and I just thought it was so cute. It's also flocked, so it's fuzzy, which I love. She's so adorable. The books on this shelf are mainly The Wheel of Time. This set belongs to my boyfriend, with the exception of this one. I bought myself a copy of The Eye of the World. I don't remember if that was before we moved in together or not, but I think we were reading them around the same time, so I wanted my own copy, but since then I have surpassed my boyfriend and we haven't needed to have dual copies of them. I'm currently on book 7, I think, Crown of Swords, but I do want to finish these eventually. They're really good and I've enjoyed them a lot. And with the Amazon series coming out, I think that's gonna help kick back my momentum. Behind the letterboard, we have, oh, there's more Robert Jordan back here. New Spring, which is the prequel to Wheel of Time. This is my dad's old copy of The Hobbit and his 1-volume omnibus of the Lord of the Rings series from when like the movies first came out. So this is really old. This is the copy that I remember my dad reading when I was a kid. So that's really special to me. And I will forever hold on to that, even though it is the movie covers and I typically don't like those. But that one's special. And then over here we have my pin banner. This is a variety of pins from Owlcrate, Fairy Loot, and this one here is from, I believe, No One Designs. My friend Stephanie got that for me for my birthday, and it's from The Cruel Prince. It says Jude, 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 Jude all over it, which is a reference to the first book. And yeah, so these are really pretty, and the pin banner itself is from Owlcrate as well. And I was really excited to get it because I didn't really have a place to display all my pins before. So yeah, this was really cool. Some of my favorites are this bear, which is from Among the Beasts and Briars. That was with the Owlcrate special edition. This is the special edition Addie LaRue pin from an Owlcrate special edition box. It says, "A story is an idea, wild as a weed." I love that book. There's also this little pin right here that has Smog on it, and this is The Hobbit. It's meant to look like a book. The pins are really cute. Oh, and there's Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. Love him. Getting down to the shelves that you probably see the most because they're pretty much right behind my head when I film. We have this really cute sort of sees all, knows all sign. I got this from Michael's in their Halloween section. I really enjoyed sort of more of like the witchy occult Halloween decorations, so that's kind of what I leaned more towards this year when buying them. So I think this looks so cool, and I've really enjoyed having that in my background for the videos. And you can't really quite see behind it super well, but I have authors G through K over here. We have some pumpkins and this little like cauldron mug that I think is so cute with just some fall foliage inside. We also have this book room model that I made. I can link that video up here as well. I did like a whole time lapse where I put this together from scratch, and it was a lot of fun, very challenging, definitely outside my comfort zone, but I think it looks really cool on my shelves, and it's got a little light fixture that I think is just so adorable. And yeah, so I think it matches the vibe very well over here. And some standouts on this shelf, you can't see them, but I have Hank Green's An Absolutely Remarkable Thing and A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. That was a sci-fi duology that I really enjoyed. That was a lot of fun. We have Alice Hoffman's Practical Magic, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, which is a fabulous book. It's part of the Broken Earth trilogy. Each book won the Hugo Award as it came out, which is like crazy. So I'm hoping to pick up the second book, which I believe is The Obelisk Gate soon, and The Space Between Worlds, which is another really good sci-fi. Really enjoy all the books on this shelf, and I really like how this shelf looks in general, like the Halloween knickknackage as well as the diorama and stuff. I think it's really cute, so fan of that one, and I'm glad that it looks adorable when I'm filming my regular videos. This book right here is also pretty commonly in frame when I'm filming, and I'm actually pretty glad because it has some of my most favorite books of all time. So this is a pretty heavy-duty shelf of sort of 5-star books. Before I get to the books though, just pointing out some of the decorations. Both this thermos and this candle were part of the special edition Addie LaRue box from Owlcrate last year, and this is a candle with a wood wick. I haven't burned it yet, but I've heard wood wicks are really cool and crackly, and I'm really excited to do it eventually, but for now I think it looks really cool as part of my little bookshelf decoration. We also have some more Halloween decorations that I got from Michael's this year, including this powdered moth wings bottle and the stack of books. These candles were from my mom, I believe, a few years ago. They're like LED, and they're really cool because they look like birch wood, which is fun. And yeah, so getting to some of the books, we have Taylor Jenkins Reid, who, if you haven't heard of her, you must be new to BookTube because she's very popular. We've got Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. These were all really good reads. Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo I gave 5 stars. Malibu Rising was more of a 4-star for me, but really fabulous sort of historical fiction. I really highly recommend if you haven't gotten to them. Margaret Rogerson, her standalones, The Enchantment of Ravens, or In Enchantment of Ravens and Sorcery of Thorns. Margaret Rogerson has such a beautiful writing voice, and her stories are so enchanting, and I absolutely love these books. They are so atmospheric, and just the world building is so awesome, and the fact that she's able to sort of tell this story in a magical land and keep it contained to one volume is quite impressive. I don't have her third book, Vespertine, yet. I got a special edition from Fairy Loot, so I'm waiting for that one to come in, but really excited because I love her writing so much, and those are two of my favorite fantasy standalones. We also have this special edition from Fairy Loot. There's Sprayed Edges. It's These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is a very new release. It just came out a couple months ago. A little derivative of ACOTAR, but still a really fun story, and it's a beautiful special edition as well. The cover is very like fall vibes, which I like. Then we have some Riley Sager over here. He's a little controversial, I think, at the moment, just because he's getting a little repetitive, I think, in some of his tropes, but we have an absolute Halloween classic, Home Before Dark. Great haunted house story. I read this last year, and it spooked the pants off of me. Loved that one. And then getting over to here, which is, I'm going to move my little book stack. We have one of my favorite authors, V.E. Schwab. I currently have 2 special editions of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is the Owl Crate one, or I'm sorry, this is just a regular edition. I have 1 special edition. I do have another special edition from Waterstones coming in the mail. It's the 1-year anniversary. It's white, and it's got these beautiful floral sprayed edges. I cannot wait for that one. I believe it is currently on its way to me now. That one's gonna be like on display on my shelf because it's so pretty. Then we have Vicious and Vengeful, the 2 books in the Villains series that are currently out. My boyfriend got me these for Christmas last year, and they're so fun. V.E. Schwab has such different ideas, and she does them so well, and I'm just constantly surprised. This is sort of more of like a superhero story set in the real world, and it's so fun. Great anti-heroes, morally gray characters. You kind of have a bit of a Magneto, Charles Xavier vibe. It's great. It also draws heavily from Cowboy Bebop, the dynamic between Spike and Vicious, so that's really cool if you like Cowboy Bebop. Definitely recommend reading these. I also have her, I think it's Gathering of Magic series. I haven't read it yet, though. I have the whole trilogy on my TBR shelf, but I haven't gotten around to it, but hopefully soon. And then we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, another BookTube darling. This is a standalone fantasy with dragons, and it's sapphic, and it's so good. This was a 5 out of 5 star read for me as well. Highly recommend. It looks intimidating, but I think it reads pretty fast once you get past like the first 100 pages and you have more of like a grasp on the world. This is Wrath from Kingdom of the Wicked, and he's got a 3-headed dog apparently, and I believe the dog shows up in the sequel, which I haven't read yet, but he hangs out on this shelf. And then I have a thermos that looks like a Nikon lens. This used to belong to my dad, and I don't use it because it looks difficult to clean, but I enjoy it sitting on my shelves. And then back here we have The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This is one of my favorite fantasies that came out last year. The sequel comes out in November of this year, and I'm so excited. This is one of the most unique fantasies I've ever read. It's multi-POV, it's a lot of fun, and if you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend it. I feel like this is so underhyped, and it's one of the best fantasies I've ever read, so highly recommend that. Alright, this shelf you can pretty much barely see over the arm of my chair when I'm filming typically, so there's not a whole lot of knick-knackage. I've also left quite a bit of empty space just to kind of give it a little bit more room. There's a lot of authors whose last names start with M, so I try to keep a little extra space on here so I don't have to constantly rearrange my shelves whenever I finish a new book by an author whose last name starts with M. Starting over here, we have some Stephen King books. The Stand and Everything's Eventual belonged to my dad. The Stand I read in high school. I don't know when he got this copy. It's, as you can see, beat to hell. It's a mass market paperback, and I don't have a lot of those, but I will pretty much never get rid of this one because it belonged to my dad. And I really did quite enjoy this story. Sort of stereotypically of King, it had a crap ending, but the rest of it was really good, and I don't recommend reading this right now because of COVID, but fantastic story. I loved it. Misery is my favorite Stephen King book. It's short, sweet, and to the point, and creepy as hell. Annie makes a terrifying villain. The Shining, I have really kind of iffy feelings of. I like the book better than the movie, but it is by far not my favorite Stephen King. And Everything's Eventual is a short story collection I actually haven't gotten to yet. I believe it has 14 Dark Tales. The cover is really spooky, actually, and I remember when I was a kid seeing this on my dad's bookshelf and being, like, so freaked out by the cover. It's got, like, a blood drop in this water goblet, and then on the back it's like everything's knocked over and bloody, and it's terrifying. Then we have his book on writing, which is really good. I read this in high school, and it's like half memoir, half like writing tips, and it was really cool learning about Stephen King's personal life and some of his struggles and inspiration for his books. He's a very interesting person, so I really liked the memoir aspects of this book, and I haven't written anything in a long time, but he has some good writing advice as well, so that's cool. These are two of my favorite newer releases by TJ Klune, The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door. I also really love the covers. They're so whimsical. These are both fabulous, like, LGBTQ stories. I love them. There's a found family element in both of these books, and it's just so touching. Under the Whispering Door made me cry like a baby. But yeah, highly recommend those books. He is such a great author. Then we have The Poppy War. As you can see, I've only read the first one. I do own the second and third as well, but haven't quite had the stomach to get around to them. They are emotionally devastating, and I need to hype myself up to read The Dragon Republic because I have just not emotionally recovered from this, but it was a 5 out of 5. It's so good. R.F. Kuang is an amazing author. Rin is such a intriguing main character. If you like morally gray characters, or main characters especially, highly recommend. Then we have my omnibus of the Narnia series. This was given to me, I believe, by my uncle in either middle school or high school. Oh my god. This book belongs to Lexi Jordan. That's funny. Yeah, and it's got the movie cover from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is around the time that that movie came out, so this is quite old, as you can see. One of my more worn books as well. But again, very sentimental value because it was given to me by a family member and pretty much never going to get rid of it. I do want the Narnia series sort of in individual volumes at some point as well. But this one has sentimental value, so I'll pretty much always hold on to that. Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is a newer addition to my shelf. I read all 4 of these in the span of like 2 weeks. Not the best writing I've ever read, but it was a fun as hell story, so I was very pleasantly surprised by these, and I really like the pop of color that it adds to my shelf. This one especially is a gorgeous color. Then we have Kingdom of the Wicked, another newer release. The sequel just came out, so I'm hoping to pick that up soon. This has to deal with sort of demons and witches, and it's a lot of fun. And holding all of these up is this big old candle my boyfriend's mom got me from the Old Bean Antiques in Bath, Maine. It's a gorgeous sort of farm-style looking candle. I love it, and it's hefty as heck, so it makes a good bookend. Down here we have another pretty all-star shelf, and I'm kind of sad this one hides behind my chair because we've got some great stuff back here. Decoration-wise, we have my little Jon Snow Funko Pop to go with the Game of Thrones books. And we also have this mug thing, this thermos that I got from Society6. This is actually a painting of an octopus I did. The cover is like kind of defective though. It doesn't close all the way, so I use it as a decoration more than anything else just because it's like my personal art and I think it looks cool. So I'm gonna move that for now. But down here we have, I think, all of George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones related books, besides the first one, because I just unhauled a different edition I had of that. But we have Fire and Blood, which is the Targaryen sort of history. We have The Ice Dragon, which is a novella written in the, it takes place in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, but it's like takes place thousands of years before the events of Game of Thrones. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is another short story collection, but it follows the stories of Dunk and Egg, and Egg is one of the Targaryen princes, and Dunk is one of his knights, and they have adorable adventures. I would love to see an adaptation of these stories. They're so good. Also unfinished because, you know, George R.R. Martin, but maybe one day. Not likely. Then we have the mass market paperback versions of A Song of Ice and Fire, again, excluding the first one. I'm content with the mass market editions for now. I would like to get a special edition set one day, but I am sort of foolishly hoping he'll finish them, and I don't want to buy an incomplete special edition set, so I'm just holding on to those for now. Yes, I am a sweet summer child with hope left still. Then we have Shauna McGuire's Wayward Children series. It's the first 6 books in that. Her 7th is about to come out. These are excellent. I love them. I also love how they look on the shelf. I love little novellas. These look so pretty and like rainbowy. And these follow, this is like a portal fantasy series that follows kids who go to these realms that are made like specifically for them. They're perfectly suited, and then they find themselves back in the real world and having to cope with reality, and they're so good. Highly recommend these if you haven't read them. They're really fast reads. Cloud Atlas, I haven't read this in several years. I also got it in high school. It is also the movie cover edition, which is not my favorite, but given to me by my parents, so I will pretty much forever hold on to that. Then we have some Silvia Moreno Garcia. I really wish The Beautiful Ones had come out in hardcover to match my Mexican Gothic copy, but this was a reprinting of an older book she had, and I feel like this one has not gotten as much hype as it deserves, because I think I liked it better than Mexican Gothic. But both of these are beautifully written. I really admire Silvia Moreno Garcia's abilities to write sort of cross-genre. Every book she comes out is vastly different than the last, and I just think that's so impressive and hard to do. So these are 2 of my favorite books at the moment. And then we have the Flamefall series, or not the Flamefall series, Fireborn series by Rosaria Munda. This is sort of like a Russian Revolution, but with dragons story, and it is so good. If you like Game of Thrones, this is like the YA version of that. It's fabulous. It's a fantastic political fantasy with dragon riders. Actually, I think I've described it as Game of Thrones meets How to Train Your Dragon, and it's fabulous and some of the best written YA fantasy I've ever read. So these are 2 of my favorites as well. Then we have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This was one of my favorite reads from the beginning of the year. If you're putting together like a TBR for winter coming up, I highly recommend this. It is so good. It deals with like winter fae, and it's a sort of Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but again with fae. And it's like a historical fiction or historical fantasy. The main character, Miriam, is one of the most badass protagonists I've ever read about. I love her, and this was such an enchanting story. Like, so good. Cannot emphasize how good it was. And then we have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a little novella. This is the first Nnedi Okorafor book I've read. I know she's got, I believe, a series called Binti, which is really hyped in the sci-fi community. This cover is gorgeous, and this was really cool. And I'm looking forward to reading more from her, because I think this is a great place to start with her, and yeah, it was really cool. Last shelf for these 2 bookcases. This is my last chunk, T through Z, of authors. We have the Annihilation series by Jeff Vandermeer. These are so weird, but like in the best way. If you like sci-fi and cosmic horror, I definitely recommend these. Authority was a bit weak in my opinion, but Acceptance was still really cool. I feel like a lot of people have read the first one but never continue on with 2 and 3, but I think they're worth it. They don't quite answer all the questions that the first one sets up in the most satisfactory way, but if you're okay with sort of vague endings, I think these are great reads, and also the covers are just like freaking beautiful. These were some of the first sci-fi books I read, and I really enjoyed them. Then we have the Shadow of the Wind series, another series where I feel like a lot of people read the first one and then never continue. Same thing, Angel's Game was a little weak in my opinion, but I did really like Prisoner of Heaven. This is a really popular, Shadow of the Wind, that is a really popular sort of book club book. There's a lot to talk about, but the prose is some of the most beautiful I've ever read, and especially considering it's translated from Spanish, the fact that that beautiful prose translates so well is really impressive, and I honestly think everyone should read this book. It's beautiful. This is a library book that I think I accidentally stole from my middle school library. Sorry, Junta Middle School. And this book, like, freaked me out a lot as a kid, though. I feel like it deals with, like, a teenager who dies, and then, like, the afterlife, you live backwards. And she was only, like, 16 or 17. And it was just, like, it's a lot about coping with death and moving on and stuff. And even if it's your own death, and that's a lot, that's really freaky, and I think a lot for a 10-year-old to read about. But it was good. And then we have a couple Marcus Zusak books, both I Am the Messenger, which is actually the first Marcus Zusak book I ever read. This one was weird, and it's meta, but like before I knew what meta was. Very strange mystery. I think if you liked The Book Thief, this is very different tonally from The Book Thief, but still a really interesting narrative style, which I think Markus Zusak kind of approach, like he does like a different thing with each of his books. And this is definitely a different thing than Book Thief, but still pretty good. And then, of course, The Book Thief. This is a more recent addition I added to my collection. I had the movie cover for a really long time, but I love this book, and I wanted sort of more of the original cover. And yeah, so I picked this up recently, and that was a great find. This is a really harrowing tale, but a really, really good, like, I don't read a lot of World War II historical fiction, but, like, I will always recommend this book. It is fantastic, and it's narrated by Death, which is so intense, but like such an amazingly creative way, I think, to approach the topic of World War II and just the Holocaust in general. All right, down here we have my nonfiction. This is where we start kind of breaking it down by genre. As you can see, most of these are like humor or memoir-y. We have like Amy Poehler's memoir, Rainn Wilson, Anna Kendrick, a couple of Mindy Kaling's books are over here, Carrie Fisher's over there. I like humorous books, I think, especially as audiobooks as well. They work really well and they capture my attention. I am trying to branch out into more serious nonfiction, however, so hopefully I'll have a little more to add to this soon. Especially true crime really interests me, so hopefully I'll be able to add to that as well. A more recent one that I've read that I've really enjoyed is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. It's where he like rates everyday things on a scale of 5 stars, and that's really cute and entertaining, so I liked that a lot. Getting into my romance collection, I especially like to keep these all together because I think they just look so cute, and the size is rather uniform. Some of these are like a smidge shorter than the others. At one point, these were organized alphabetically, not so much lately, but I've kind of just been stacking them as I've been reading them. But some of my favorites on here are The Love Hypothesis and The Unhoneymooners and How to Fail at Flirting. These are, I love romance books. They're just such a cute comfort read. Oh, and the Brown Sisters trilogy. These are fabulous. And yeah, I just think these look great on a shelf together, and they're a lot of fun. And continuing my romance, these are like my 4 favorite romances I think of all time. Well Played's not like my favorite, but Well Met is for sure, and I kept them together because Jen DeLuca. But Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry are, yeah, like probably books 1 and 2 in my top 5 romance books of all time. They're just so, again, just comfort reads, but they also have a really like deep emotional scope that I think a lot of romance books don't quite touch on, and they're so good. So these are definitely top shelf romances for me, and I really love how they look with my cute little plant, my pothos over here. This is probably my healthiest plant in my entire apartment because it's right next to a window. But yeah, so these are probably 4 of my favorite romances. I love these, and I love this whole display of romance books. I think it looks really cute on this shelf. All right, not going to spend a whole lot of time over here. This is my TBR shelf. As you can see, it is nearly as tall as I am, and it is a source of great shame for me. I enjoy book buying as much as I enjoy book reading, and I love a good deal, so a lot of these are good bargain books. I've had a couple people ask me where I've gotten this shelf. It is another generous gift from my boyfriend. Not sure where he got it, where his parents got it. I believe he's had it since childhood though, so thank you, boyfriend, for allowing me to take over another one of your shelves. I have a lot of fantasy. It's mostly fantasy over here. I'm not going to talk too long about it because I haven't read any of these books. I don't know them well enough to talk about them very much, but I am excited to get to all of these at some point, and hopefully reduce the stack on the floor, especially. I don't love my books sitting on the floor, but we are limited on space, and I have a problem, clearly, so. All right, and these shelves are my most recent additions. These are in my bedroom next to my bed. And I needed a place to put my comics and my more middle grade books. So in this cube, we have my taller comics. Some of my favorites are Saga. The Strange Academy book is really cool as well, and Brandon Sanderson's The Dark One. We also have some Funko Pops of, these are characters from Saga. It's Alana, Marco, and Gus. Gus is the most recent addition. Actually, can you see him? Gus back here is the most recent addition. I got him for my birthday. My boyfriend got him for me, and I believe he is a special edition. He's flocked and adorable. He's the cutest character in that series, so I'm so thrilled to have him. I love these guys. Marco! He's a little top heavy because of his horns. And then this set of tarot cards that my best friend Stephanie got me, and I'm too terrified to use at the moment, but I would love to learn how to read tarot because those are really cool cards. And over here we have my Rick Riordan books. In the front is the Percy Jackson books. I recently collected these. These are the original editions. They've since redesigned the covers, but I really love these older school ones. They're what I grew up reading and what I have nostalgia for. This guy is a little light my boyfriend gave me for my birthday last year, and he's so cute. He's a little like LED kitty cat who changes colors when you tap him. I promise. There you go. And behind Percy Jackson, I have both the Kane Chronicles and the Heroes of Olympus series as well. I do want to reread all of these eventually. It's been literally years, and I never finished either Heroes of Olympus or the Kane Chronicles, so I need to finish those at some point. I think Rick Riordan does really great middle grade books that are educational and entertaining as heck, and I love his characters. He's really great at writing really fascinating, fun characters, so love these books, and they hold a very special place in my heart. All right, and down here is my Harry Potter set. This is actually from my Nana. She was holding on to these for me. I haven't checked like what edition these all are, so maybe I'm sitting on a fortune, who knows? So yeah, I got all 7 books here, and then she also gave me this little Hedwig keychain that broke. She also gave me these bookends that are from when like the first couple books came out. I think this might be like pre-movies. So this is Harry going into the Gryffindor common room, stepping through. And then on this side, we have Hermione and Ron in the common room itself. So these are really cute bookends. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy with the series in the past few years and the author, but the story as a whole really has a special place in my heart, and it's definitely not perfect, but I grew up reading these, and Harry Potter is part of what had me fall in love with reading in the first place, so these will also pretty much always have a special place in my heart, despite sort of the problems with it. All right, and down at the very bottom here, we have my shorter graphic novels, and these include some more like middle grade-y ones as well. And these are really cute. The Heartstopper series is really popular and beloved. The Girl from the Sea is really cute. Nimona by Noelle Stevenson is amazing. These are all, honestly, these are some of my favorite graphic novels. The Poison Ivy one as well is really cute, as well as the Teen Titans Raven one. I love all of these. I've really recently gotten into graphic novels, and I love the style of all of these. They're so cute, and yeah, I'm quickly, as you can see, this is like a pretty full shelf. I'm gonna have to see if I can like double stack and maybe raise a back row of them or something. And even though this bookshelf is a newer edition, I'm already running out of room, so, book lover probs. Alright guys, and that's my entire book collection. Again, this is not my ideal setup by any means, but I'm making do with what I have, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the bookshelf tour. Let me know down in the comments, have you read any of the books that I pointed out? What did you think? Do you have any tips for me as far as like organization? I would love to hear them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a wonderful day. Bye.